This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ephraim Graham. Talks with North Korea are hitting a setback ahead of the historic summit between President Donald Trump and dictator Kim-Jong Un. But this could just be a negotiation tactic by the rogue nation. CBN's national security correspondent Eric Rosales takes a closer look.
President Donald Trump has made it clear North Korea must denuclearize or it's no deal and no talk. Despite a North Korean leader saying that the summit is in jeopardy, staff here at the White House say that they are planning as if the summit is a go.
The North Koreans have an infinitely rich propaganda playbook. They've deployed it over the years in many different ways. I think the president's made it clear he's prepared to meet them in Singapore on June the 12th and see what we're able to agree on. If they don't want to come, he's prepared to accept that too.
So what led to the sudden change in direction? President Trump believes it might be due to one-on-one meetings with Kim and China's President Xi.
I have a feeling, however, that for various reasons, maybe including trade, because they've never had this problem before, China has never had this problem with us, it could very well be that he's influencing Kim-Jong Un. We'll see what happens.
In an interview with CBN's David Brody and Jenna Browder, former President Jimmy Carter said President Trump needs to stand strong.
And I think they're willing to give up their nuclear program completely if we will reach out to them halfway.
President Carter, what would be your advice to President Trump going into this meeting?
Treat them with respect, don't have any prerequisite on what they should agree to do, and be willing to accommodate their basic requests.
Analysts see China as a puppet master and could be telling Kim to not give up so much.
And I'm worried that the Chinese are going to start to undermine those sanctions, which will really release leverage before we even had these discussions.
You have to want to do it. With deals, that's what I do, is deals. And with deals, you have to have two parties that want to do it.
President Trump said he is ready to negotiate a deal. Eric Rosales, CBN News, Washington.
Here now is a look at some of the other big headlines we're following for you today inside the CBN newsroom. The Senate has confirmed Gina Haspel as the new CIA director. Haspel replaces Mike Pompeo, who became Secretary of State last month. It is the first time in history for a woman to lead the CIA. The Trump administration plans to reinstate a Reagan-era rule that would ban federally funded family planning clinics from discussing abortions with women. The Department of Health and Human Services will announce the plan today. Pro-life advocates say those family planning programs should have no connection to abortion. The countdown is on to the royal wedding. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle exchange vows Saturday, as millions around the world will watch. Final preparations are underway for the event. Meghan recently announced her dad will not be at the wedding due to medical issues, so Prince Charles will walk her down the aisle. You can learn more on these stories and others throughout the day at cbnnews.com. World health officials are revising risk assessments after another case of Ebola was detected in Congo, this time in a bustling city, potentially putting millions in danger. Our Jennifer Wishon is on this story and explains what's being done.
45 cases of Ebola have now been reported in Congo. 4,000 doses of Ebola vaccines have arrived in the country, and thousands more are on standby if needed, as health officials discover the virus has spread 90 miles from the rural area where the outbreak was announced last week to the crossroads city of Bandaka, home to more than 1 million people.
Bandaka is a large town in itself. It means there's another site of infection for this outbreak, but also Bandaka is on the banks of the Congo River, and that means that it has connectivity right through to Kinshasa in the Congolese hinterland, a town of more than 10 million people, and it also connects through to neighboring countries such as the Central African Republic and Congo Brazzaville. So this is a major game changer in the outbreak.
It's prompted an emergency meeting at the World Health Organization today to determine what the risk is to the region and the world, and how health officials everywhere should be responding and preparing. 514 people believed to have been in contact with those infected are being monitored as epidemiologists work to identify additional contacts.
We're certainly not trying to cause any panic in the national or international community. What we're saying, though, is that urban Ebola is a very different phenomenon to rural Ebola. because we know that people in urban areas can have far more contacts. So that means that urban Ebola can result in an exponential increase in cases in a way that rural Ebola struggles to do.
This is the 9th Ebola outbreak in Congo since 1976, but just the first time people there have received vaccines which have shown to be very effective. Ebola is transmitted to people from wild animals like bats and monkeys. Humans then transfer it to each other through bodily fluids. In most cases, the virus is fatal. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Christian activist groups are demanding answers. They want to know why Christians aren't doing more for their fellow believers facing persecution. Here's Paul Strand with more on this story.
Christians of all stripes came to this summit asking why don't believers do more to help their persecuted brothers and sisters around the globe. They hit at Christians in the first world living cushy lives with little thought for those under attack overseas.
We cannot claim Christ only to form our lives around the comforts and the conveniences of the modern Western life without paying mind to the injustice of the Christian persecution that we see around the world.
Many Christians are focused on what a friend of mine calls the 3 B's of good church life. Have you heard about them? The budget, the baptisms, and the building program. And if those 3 things are all in sync together, then the church is deemed to be successful.
The keynote speaker pointed out Jesus told Saul of Tarsus that Saul was attacking Christ when he attacked Christians.
When people persecute Christians, they're really persecuting who? Jesus. In the same way, when we care for the persecuted, we're really caring for Jesus. And that's why Jesus said, whatever you did for the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did it to me.
Spudo said he was once considering how much money to donate to starving Christians in Nigeria.
And the Lord whispered something into my heart that I don't believe I'll ever forget. He said, that's me. I'm hungry. And I'm waiting and watching to see who loves me and will give me something to eat.
Longtime defender of religious freedom, Frank Wolf, knocked believers' willful silence.
The church in the West can never say it does not know what is taking place in Iraq or the Middle East today. And Dr. Martin Luther King, to quote him again, said, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends.
Wolf then had a warning for America's Christians.
If the church slumbers, Washington will scarcely lead the way.
Sam Brownback is America's new ambassador at large for international religious freedom.
There's more persecution going on now than a number of authorities have said than any time in the history where we've had recorded history.
But he said governments that persecute believers ignore studies showing their nations will be less successful and more troubled.
If you want less terrorism, you need more religious freedom. If you want more economic growth, you need more religious freedom.
A teen encouraged fellow young people to learn about Christian persecution and get involved in fighting it.
A friend of my older brother's, he said it really eloquently. Awareness without action is not activism.
It doesn't require anything other than put one foot in front of the other and do what God says to do, and do it right now.
Just remember, we're here today because Jesus is still being persecuted through his children. And how we respond to them is really our response to Jesus.
Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
Coming up, we're taking a look back at how a declaration signed in a Tel Aviv art gallery changed the world forever. A declaration signed in a Tel Aviv art gallery 70 years ago changed the world forever, and against overwhelming odds, the state of Israel grew beyond expectation. Scott Ross takes a look back.
על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל, היא מדינת ישראל.
Here in Independence Hall, David Ben-Gurion declared the birth of the modern state of Israel. For the first time in nearly 2,000 years, the Jewish people had a nation.
He chose the words, we hereby declare the establishment, it says here, of a Jewish state in the land of Israel to be known as the State of Israel. This was the birth of a Jewish state. As for all Jews, Ben-Gurion was standing here as the voice of 11 million Jews around the world who had no voice, who had no address, and nowhere to go to.
I spoke with Isaac Dror, who leads the education effort here.
It was promised to us by God. We are the only people in the history of the world that live on the same land, speak in the same language, and believe in the same God more than 3,000 years.
We are in a historic setting here. Where are we and what happened?
This is the room where the Jewish state of Israel was born 70 years ago. In this tiny room with these same furnitures, a ceremony that lasted 32 minutes and shook the world.
As British rulers left Israel that day, 5 Arab armies invaded.
So it's like when you mix the happiest day for the Jewish people, one of the greatest moments for our nation in modern times, with one of the most dangerous and sad days when Israel was that close to a complete annihilation.
Why this building? Why here? Why Tel Aviv?
This building was simply the safest auditorium in the city of Tel Aviv.
Who were the people that were here?
Most of them people from around Tel Aviv, because they could not invite people from Jerusalem, because Jerusalem was disconnected. Only 350 of them were lucky enough to be squeezed in the room with no air conditioning.
And among the crowd of witnesses was Yael Sharet.
Her father was on the stage here, Moshe Sharet. He was the right hand of Ben Gurion and the kind of the foreign minister of the provisional government of Israel. And when they came to the ceremony, they came with an invitation. And it says here, we are honored to invite you to the ceremony of independence. And then it goes, we ask you to keep it as a secret.
Really?
You don't want thousands of people to swarm the street when you expect an air raid later that day. And then it says the invitation is personal, like come alone. And here you have Mr. Moshe Sharet, who brought his daughter with him. And not only his daughter, but his sister as well. And Moshe Sharet said they will share the same chair.
I met Yael Sharet Medini at her home near Tel Aviv.
Here is my aunt, and this is my forehead. Hopefully there's something behind it, as I say, and we share the chair there, next to the wall.
She told me how just the day before, her father dictated and Yael wrote a draft of the Declaration of Independence.
This is my father's version of the Declaration. The one that he dictated to me, this is my handwriting. This is a photocopy of the original. Yeah. The original is in the archive.
And this took you how long?
I think that I sat there about 3/4 of an hour to an hour.
Yael simply calls herself a handmaiden of history. Well, how old were you?
17 and a half. I wasn't interested in this. I knew that this is what's going to happen from the age of 0, that we are going to have a state, and we are rightfully here.
During that time, she and her family lived in New York, where her father would scour the United Nations, convincing countries to support the soon-to-be-born state. Do you remember the event itself, when Ben Gurion stood up and read?
It's epic. It's really epic. It's poetry, actually. The only time I was really moved, I must say, was when the Rabbi Levine made the old age Jewish blessing, Shechianu v'kiyimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh.
That ancient Jewish prayer, recited on momentous occasions, thanks God who has given us life, sustained us, and allowed us to reach this day.
I'm not religious, but this blessing has an echo of generations.
Did you sing?
Hatikva, yes. And then everybody stood up, and it was the anthem, the national anthem.
The very next day, which was the Sabbath, President Harry Truman became the first world leader to recognize Israel.
The Pentagon and the State Department truly believed that Ben Gurion, the leader of Israel, is leading the world into a new catastrophe. One person, however, thought differently. His name was Harry Truman. He understood something that most of his top advisors and ministers failed to see. This is truly a prophecy being realized.
70 years later, it's clear that Truman was right.
We are faster, better, prettier than ever today. The economy of Israel is doing wonderfully well. They call a startup nation. And now we see Israel standing, and thanks God, together with the Americans, in the spirit of those countries who are leading. Suddenly people understand why we are here.
Scott Ross for CBN in Tel Aviv.
Maher is a contemporary Christian music artist, singer, songwriter, and worship leader. And he's in Studio 5 this week talking echoes and hearing what really matters.
You are my joy. You are my song. You are the well, the one I'm drawing from.
Originally, the album was going to be an album exploring the nature of protest.
My whole life long, where else would I go?
It was sort of asking the question of how do we testify in this day and age, in this the time in which we find ourselves.
Your love defends me. Your love defends me.
I started to think about how we live in a day and an age where we echo things that we hear. And it's funny because it's how we learn to communicate as children. My kids learn how to talk by repeating the things that I say. They don't just repeat the words, they repeat my attitudes, they repeat my worldview. So if there's pain in my heart that's unresolved, if there's bitterness, if there's resentment, like, it's a crazy thing to think that my kids can pick up on that and they can echo that into the world. And it's kind of the same way now with social media. You know, a lot of times people say things and it somehow captures something that we feel. And so rather than digesting it and really considering what does this mean, we just sort of throw it back into the world saying, yeah, this is how I feel. And so, and then it's like, but then we're on these social networks where we're typically just hanging out with people that think the same way as us and talk the same way, and so it's like we're in a giant echo chamber. So the word echo just kept coming back to me because that's how we learn to communicate, and that's how we communicate more and more these days. And I felt like it's a great time for me to stop and think about, how do I choose to communicate things that matter into the world? We're formed by the things that we hear, and from an early age we learn how to communicate with the world by repeating things that we've heard. How do we pass down to generations this thought of, as Christians, we're supposed to be really mindful of how we choose to respond to things. So much of faith is about doing that. So much of faith is about learning to pass on faith. We started making the record in January, and in March my dad got really sick, and I had to fly back to Newfoundland where I grew up to be with him. In the face of suffering, I think if there's a group of people who are supposed to be repeating things that bring hope and bring the possibility of a different way forward, I think the people of God are the ones who are supposed to do that. There was a group of songs that were inspired by old hymns. You know, my mom's side is American, my dad's side's Canadian. My dad's side was all like Irish Catholic, and my mom's side was more just kind of American, different iterations of Protestantism. But my grandmother, my mom's mother, was Baptist. So I started rediscovering all these old Baptist hymns because I never grew up singing them. And so many of them were written out of a place of suffering. The older you get, the more important this becomes. I think about this all the time, even just as a parent and as a father. How am I modeling to my kids how I want them to respond? That, I think, it helped me contextualize my own grief with losing my dad. It just sort of, I've always felt, coming out of the context of being Catholic, I've always had this understanding that we're tethered to a story that is a much bigger story that we're part of. And the lives of those who've gone before us stand as a witness and as a testimony to the God that we come to know and love through the scriptures.
I hear the echo, I hear the echo, follow the echo, echo.
If your weekend plans include the movies, our friends at Plugged In Online show us why you may or may not want to consider seeing Show Dogs.
Las Vegas. I give props to hip hop, so hip hop, hooray! Viva Las Vegas. Hey, stop! What kind of dog likes hip hop?
The movie Show Dogs chews on the tail of a dedicated NYPD police dog named Max. He's a canine detective who's ready to leap into any confrontation and drag the bad guys off to jail with their collar in his teeth.
Why are there dogs in this meeting?
That is, he would if his fellow human cops would just get out of his way. The problem is those clumsy human handlers tend to treat him like a second-class citizen.
It's payback time. Wait, what?
Max gets paired up with a human FBI agent named Frank, and the two are assigned the job of infiltrating a Las Vegas dog show and bringing a group of animal smugglers to justice. It's a humiliating experience for a seasoned street dog like Max, but he'll put up with all the bathing, manicuring, and primping if it means he can take a bite out of crime.
I'm deputizing both of you.
Yes, sir. I accept, but I get to be the bad cop.
All right, coach, what's our first move?
I shall turn you into the show dog. Huh? With license to bite.
This story full of talking dogs is a kid's movie through and through. You could think of it as a live-action talking dog version of Miss Congeniality. There are moments of peril, poo-poo humor, and a dash of foul language in the kibble mix. But all in all, nothing too growl-worthy. So I'll give Show Dogs 4 batty backside bites out of 5 for family friendliness. For an in-depth review on this film or anything else at your local box office, visit us at pluggedin.com. Plugging you into the movies, I'm Cheryl Wilhelmy for Focus on the Family's Plugged In Movie Review.
And I leave you now with this, Friday Faithful. Be careful what you open your ears to hear. And why is this important? Remember, faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the Word of God, and the Word of God is the best builder of your faith. Make this a fabulous Friday and a wonderful weekend. Remember, you can always find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. We'd also love to hear from you. You can email us at newswatch@cbn.com. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you right back here Monday. Goodbye. God bless.